turbos. What is up, guys? Curtis back, C3 Garage Media, here with the Turbo IS. So today I'm making a video that I've honestly been reluctant to make. I've had many of my subscribers ask, as well as just folks that I see every time I'm with the car ask, how much did it cost to boost the IS? And why I think that answer could really come many different ways. I will show you what I did to boost the IS, what I could have done better, what I think people could have maybe cheaped out a little more on versus what I did, and would I do it again? Would I do the 2JZ GTE swap or 1J versus doing the 2J NAT? So come on with me today. As I mentioned, we are going to be talking about what it cost me to turbocharge this vehicle. As many of you know, I started off with the CX Racing turbo kit. So it's the full bolt-on turbo kit from CX Racing, which includes the turbo, the exhaust manifold, the intercooler piping, and the oil lines to be able to connect the kit, as well as the coolant ports for the turbo. So that with tax was right around $1,560. So we'll start right there. With that kit, could I have gone with a different kit? Excess power, a full-on kit with fueling and everything? Absolutely. I would recommend, if you're doing this swap yourself, go ahead and get the full kit right off the bat. Like Sprint makes a good one, comes with your ECU, your injectors, everything. You're going to save yourself some money, heartache, and maybe pain in the future. However, you'll sacrifice some flexibility in the system, being able to design it as you want it. Me, I kind of went with a hybrid approach, where basically I got the CX Racing kit knowing that the turbo's kind of junk, and then wanting to build my own fuel system and my own electronic system around that, with the idea that in the near future I will be upgrading the turbo on this kit, and thus needing the supporting electronics and supporting fuel, which I'm still working on. So I went with the CX Racing kit, bolted that on. I'll put a link to that up here in the top for you. You can see the beginning of that journey. After that, I realized very quickly for what I wanted to do, or what I plan to do, I'm going to need to upgrade the fuel system. Choosing DeechWorks, I did get a set of DeechWorks 550cc IS300 injectors. As well, I did get the DeechWorks DW340 LPH intake pump. Would I do it again with DeechWorks? Probably not. I do think they have a great product. They're working just fine on my car. Although I did have to buy some grommets from Drift Motion in order to get the injectors to seat properly in the head itself. So that cost me, the injectors themselves were, I think, about $400, and the fuel pump, was about $200. So altogether, about $600. I think it was a little less than that shipped, maybe $560. So we'll say $560 right there in injectors. Now, keep in mind, my fuel system is far from complete. I still need to get a fuel return, as the IS300 does not come with one. That is what's limiting me right now to 5 pounds of boost. I still need to do a fuel return, as well as a 1-to-1 fuel pressure regulator. That'll probably be about another $450. Again, me installing it myself, not paying someone to do it. All right, so we got that. With the injectors I got, 550cc is going to be great for pump gas running, say, 10 to 12 pounds of boost. What I did not anticipate was my E85 demand. I do want to go E85 eventually on this. It's much safer as well. I can run a lot more boost. With E85, I need much bigger injectors, so I screwed myself there. I should just went with like 1,000cc injectors or right off the bat, or minimum, like a 800cc injector. So that's my bad, but that's okay. Live and learn. ECU, guys. This is where I think a lot of folks can save money over what I did. However, I want a system that I can build on for the future, and even worst case, I could put on a different car if I wanted to. So I did choose to go with IS300, and that proved to be a huge hassle in itself, and I'll explain why here in a minute. The IS300 system itself, I got for about $1,100 retail. You then have to buy, I'll show you, your intake air sensor. You also have to get a boost control solenoid. You then need to get a map sensor. Yikes, that map sensor fell out. A fuel pressure sensor, and then an oil pressure sensor. All of those sensors together are about $450. So I would say add on, let's just call the Infinity with all the sensors, let's just say $1,600. Seems about right. And then you need a way to make the AM work with the factory ECU, which, me not being a wiring guru, I chose to buy a pre-made harness from Boomslang. Beautiful harness. So impressed with it when I got it. However, that $649 harness ended up being a joke. Hooked it up and the car would turn over, but unfortunately would not work. I'll put a link to that. My cam and crank sensors would not connect properly, which cost me a lot of time and money in diagnosing that. I'll save you guys the trouble. What I ended up having to do was independently wire my cam and crank, bypassing the stock ECU altogether, and run them directly into the cam crank negative signals on the IS300. That worked just great. To this day, I still don't have my VVTi plugged in. Right there. I'll show you guys in a minute, but I think it has something to do with the grounds as well, and I will figure that out once I get to it. But basically, if I put the plug in even close to the VVTi solenoid, it just starts screaming. So here's what happens when I plug the VVTi in. No bueno. So that's something I need to figure out. Again, an issue with the harness. So don't buy a Boomslang harness. He even said he double-checked my harness. I sent it back. I think the guy's just a kind of a crook. So it partially works, partially doesn't. After that, you got to get to tuning. Tuning. To dyno tune this car, basically when most shops get a brand new AEM system and they have to do a base tune, low-end drivability, as well as your performance tunes. So that costs a little bit more. Mine cost just under $900 for the tuning, which I'm still not complete with yet. So at this point I have like a low-end tune-in, some low-end drivability set up, and then a base map. That is it. And once I get my fuel return system plumbed in, we'll be able to turn this thing up a little bit more and finish the final tuning on it. So basically I've paid them about $400 for tuning, and I have about $400, maybe a little bit more than that, to go to get the final tuning complete on this. Another thing that I did, another cost I incurred in putting this kit together was I replaced the wastegate that came with the CX Racing kit. It was a piece of junk. It would barely hold any pressure. When we put it on the pump, it actually wouldn't even fully open the manifold or the diaphragm in here. And that is the one thing keeping your car from over boosting. So I highly recommend, if you go with the CX Racing kit or any China-made kit like that, you put a good wastegate on. I did put a tile wastegate on, and that did cost me $460 to have that put on. Now I did pay someone to put that on because it was at my tuner's when we realized it wasn't holding boost in this wastegate, and I just couldn't do it myself as it was pretty much on the dyno at that point. So I went ahead and kind of bit the bullet. You could probably get a tile wastegate, you know, in the $350 range. So,
you know, everyone asks me about the drivability of this car. What's it like with the turbo? What do you think of the CX Racing turbo kit? You know, I've actually been pretty happy. I've had 4 turbocharged cars now. 2 of them 6-cylinder turbocharged cars. And the power band's really nice. You know, I really get under boost about 3,700 RPM. Let's feel what that's like. Sounds great, feels great. Can't wait to get a little more fuel in it. It's probably one of my favorite things about the car right now is how it sounds. You know, right now it's just a 3-inch straight pipe, so it's pretty much all just lovely 2J sounds back. I do got an open blow-off valve right now, the CX Racing valve. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's kind of a high-pitched whistle. Let me show you. You can hear that.
So here's my estimate of the costs involved with turbocharging the IS. There's still a few things I need to do, but as you can see here, I have a breakdown of costs from the kit with my total cost down at the bottom. It could probably be done a little cheaper, it could probably be done a little bit more expensive, but thus far, that's roughly what I have in it, with almost the same amount in the car. As far as my thoughts on would I NAT again, or would I 2J GTE, or would I 1J? To be frank, if I were to do this whole process again, I'd probably do a 2J or 1J swap. I love the character that's in the NAT. I'm really excited to turn up the boost and see what goes on, but obviously we have our worries. This is an NA motor, you know, it's not a built motor, so when it goes, because it will eventually go, at least with what I'm going to be doing to it, we'll kind of cross that path. I'm set up for a single turbo on a 2J now, so maybe we'll do a GTE swap then, put it on the Infinity. 1J swap would probably be the cheapest, just right from the get-go. 1J bolts right in there, same mounts, same tranny. Basically, you know, you could rock and roll from the start. You just basically put that wiring harness in, and I think for maybe $3-4 grand if you're doing it yourself, you could have the 1J completed. Now, another kind of optional cost, semi-not optional cost, that I incurred was the clutch installation. This car has 136,000 miles on it. It definitely needed, you know, some love in the clutch department. Obviously, drifting it, dragging it, I needed a clutch. So I did go with the Center 4 Stage 2 and Fidanza flywheel, as you can see up in my link. And those have been great, man. The hold is phenomenal. It almost feels like a stock clutch under its weight, and this does have this sort of clutch booster on it system, which I do need to delete. But, you know, altogether that was $830 or so for the clutch, and I really think if you don't have one, you know, get it put in. If you don't have a manual IS, I wouldn't even boost it in the first place. Those things, those automatics truly can't handle much over maybe 250 horsepower. So either way, it's your car. Have fun with it. I just love seeing project, love hearing from you guys. You know, again, some cheaper tuning solutions that you could think of versus the AEM Infinity that I have here. AEM Series 1, you can wire that pretty much to plug right into the stock harness. You could do, you know, the piggyback tuners. I would do something like a Greddy Profec if I were going to be doing it. You know, a lot of people like to do the FIC. Those are good, but the problem is you can't account for fuel pressure, oil pressure, the things that really matter when you start hammering on them. So that's why I ended up going with a little more permanent tuning solution. I'm in a position where I could. Again, eventually we're going to go ahead and put a better turbo in, maybe like a Garrett turbo. But this one's doing good. It's a little laggy. You can tell just with the journal bearings that it is kind of laggy, but you know, nice overall.